Beyonce is back with Cowboy Carter, Act 2 of her ongoing 3-act project that started with Renaissance back in 2022. After giving us a history lesson on black and queer pioneers within the dance genre, Beyonce's here to reclaim Western and country music. This album was actually conceived all the way back in 2019 as a response to the country community's treatment of her during Lemonade. The song Daddy Lessons marked her first proper foray into the genre and was barred from competing in the country song and performance categories of the Grammys. Beyonce, being the researcher and academic she is, decided to dig deep into the genre and in the process discovered that as much as 50% of cowboys in the past were black. She herself would actually do a very cute collection for Ivy Park themed after rodeos. Dolly Parton herself may have blown the secret by teasing her covering her classic song Jolene in different interviews. Beyonce would hint at this sort of album for years, most especially through the decision to use country imagery for an album like Renaissance. It didn't become official until she hijacked the Super Bowl earlier this year to tease Act 2 and to drop 2 stellar tracks out of the blue. Before I talk about my overall thoughts on this album and do a track-by-track breakdown, I need to reiterate that Beyonce is a native of Houston, Texas. Throughout her career, she has consistently talked about being raised and steeped in country music. I've actually seen a few bad takes that she can't do country. She was raised country. I'm glad that she's able to reclaim that part of herself publicly and in the way that she's doing right now. So here are my overall thoughts. If Renaissance was a club mix on a night that the DJ was having a perfect night out, Cowboy Carter is a mix from KNTRY, country radio, Texas, complete with little interludes in between swats of songs. Cowboy Carter itself is not concerned with being sleek, cohesive, or easy listening. This is Beyonce's most dense work, a sweeping panorama of the Southern experience and Western culture in totality. It contains reinterpretations of classic country songs, brand new compositions that bleed within and out of the country sphere. It is true, this is not a country album, this is a Beyonce album. Despite its overt country lean, I argue that this is actually her most intimate and revealing record to date. I personally interpret this record almost cinematically. It's more of a film, Legend of Cowboy Carter. One could be tempted to call Cowboy Carter an alternate ego, much like Sasha Fierce had been one for her almost 16 years. This record is the one that really needs your full attention to work. I had to re-listen to this about 3 times before I recorded this video, and I'm pretty sure that I will do a revisit as we make more discoveries. Is it better than Renaissance or its predecessors? I honestly don't know. It's so radically different and new though, and it has been a joy to analyze and read into. I will say that I actually dug the second half more than the first half, and I love the first half. Now I'm just gonna go through the story of Cowboy Carter, which is a track-by-track review of each song. The album opens with American Requiem, a tone-setting opener that begins Beyonce's reclamation journey between the way the Western guitar jumps in and how her triumphant voice calls out her opposition. She's asking if people can hear her sing. The post-chorus of Look Her There really captures the self-awareness that she's about to ruffle some feathers. Verse 2 brings up this idea that people used to say that she spoke too country, then conservatives said that she's not country enough. So she saddled up and she fought to be here. That outro reiterates that she's saying goodbye to her fair weather friends and that she's the one who's baptized herself. She is reclaiming the dirty legacy of the West, warts and all, to make it hers. She is Cowboy Carter. Blackbird is a cover of the classic Beatles track. Paul McCartney had revealed that the song was written about the civil rights movement in the 1960s in the South of the US. The blackbird was always meant to be a black girl, so Beyonce embodies the blackbird. This particular cover works so well because Beyonce's taken up this duty to serve as a historian for black culture and struggle throughout the past, present, and future. Her cover feels like a ceremonial acknowledgement of her body of work, as well as the groundwork that she's laying for the next generation. In fact, featured on this track is Tanner Adell, a fellow black country singer who is on the come up and manifested this feature. Tanner's verse harmonizes so well with B. Also featured is Brittany Spencer, Tiara Kennedy, and Raina Roberts. All are wonderful black artists that we should check out. 16 Carriages I previously discussed on my podcast, but contextualized within this album, it's a really gorgeous, self-mythologizing song about the sacrifices that she made throughout her youth. This song speaks to Pivot to Protector, a maternal hymn about her duties mothering her 3 children. It opens with her daughter Rumi Carter asking to hear this lullaby, and then we get this beautiful tender track that's still steeped in southern imagery of marigolds, golden evenings, and apricot trees. The chorus speaks to her being a protector who knows her kids are growing and won't need her one day, but she's still always going to be there for them, and that's really touching. The bridge really speaks to Cowboy Carter's central theme of family roots. There's a long line of hands carrying your name, speaks to her, her parents, Jay's parents, the ancestors who have been lifting this child up so that she could be raised. I think it's a powerful piece, and it's actually one of my top 5 favorite tracks. My Rose is a sweet interlude with a simple guitar riff and B's luscious vocals. It's about a lover who needs picking up. The section where she's just harmonizing is magical, and the way that she sings about her sweetie pie, it feels like a hug. Smoke Hour underscores the intersectional nature of this body of work. Beyonce's flipping through different channels and time periods to tell an all-encompassing story about her family roots, the West, and the undersung voices who have pioneered what she's doing now for the next generation. There's a clip of Sister Rosetta Tharpe's Down by the Riverside. She's actually the grandmother of rock and roll. We can hear Chuck Berry's Maybelline, a rockabilly song that directly cribs from early soul musicians. Willie Nelson, one of the outlaw country legends still alive, comes on to introduce Smoke Hour on KNTRY radio, or country radio. By the way, I cannot believe Beyonce got this old-ass guy to say that. Then we got Texas Hold'em, which perfectly captures her intentions with this record. She wants to reintegrate and reclaim these distinctly black and historic influences in country music. The song is a beautiful folksy track that is anchored with the banjo and the stomping. Rhiannon Giddens, the violist and banjo player on the recording, says that the song is a call to arms to black musicians to reclaim southern instruments and sounds. It's playful, distinct, still Beyonce, absolutely kills it. I'm glad that this hit the top of the charts. Bodyguard is my personal favorite off the album, from its opening drums and Beyonce's whooping vocals. Beyonce's just an expert at writing love songs. Cuff It was an all-time favorite of mine, and this song continues in its vein. The vocals on this track are next level. She perfectly plays with the production. Her crisp vocals elevate this really groovy instrumental. The lyrics are a flirtation with a lover. They trade roles. She sings about being his bodyguard. She could be the Kevlar, his lifeguard, and then she flips it. He could be her bodyguard. She wants to play shotgun and let him drive. I love her views on love. It's from an equal standpoint. She's really mastered the art of giving and taking, and again, the vocals are really next level on this track. If there is one song to listen to that's a deep cut, if you're unsure about this record, listen to this one. Dolly P is an interlude that has Dolly Parton calling into Honey Bee to talk about the hussy with the good hair before she mentions someone from way back then with flaming locks of auburn hair. Really fun, playful moment. Beyonce then proceeds to cover and remake Dolly's iconic home-wrecking anthem, Jolene. Rather than beg Jolene to not take her man, she warns her to not come for her man. Her verses warn her that she's after a family man of 20 years, a man who she's raised with kids that she's raising. She knows them, she understands them, and Jolene does not want the smoke. The line, "I'm still a Creole banjee bitch" from Louisiana always kills me. The song ends on a graceful note that she and her man have crossed valleys high and low. She knows her man and he will stand by her. Then the choir comes in to sanctify and confirm that Jolene has no chance in hell. A male choir sings, "I'ma stand by her, she gonna stand by me" at one point. Jolene's dust. I think Daughter is one of Beyonce's most compelling vocal performances on the record. It evokes murder ballads. The refrain plays with religious imagery, the usage of her father being both a literal father and a priest. She's not a saint, but do not cross her because she's cold as ice. The way that she uses literary metaphors is just really clever here. This chorus invokes the divide between vengeance and renewal. I tried to find the Whitechapels in reality and came across Whitechapel, England, one of the few places comprised mostly of immigrants, and the site of many Jack the Ripper murders. Daughter also pays homage to the Italian roots of the West with its ingenious use of Caro mio ben in the bridge. Who else sings opera in the middle of their songs? She is giving The Godfather in a way that's just so cinematic and sweeping. Then we get Spaghetti, which I have a feeling is going to polarize fans. I loved it. If you're a fan of Heated, you will get Spaghetti. From its opening lines, poking fun at genres as a concept, Spaghetti with Linda, Martell, and Shabuzi is a curveball. I like the fact that she takes a break from the overt country aesthetics to give us a straight-up rap song with Shabuzi. Still, the song is cohesively rooted in the country narrative that she's building. Beyonce just goes in on her verse, making a Thanos reference, Steph Curry being name dropped, and just taking down her opposition. I Ain't No Regular Singer, Now Come Get Everything You Came For is a welcome to her fans and a diss to her haters. The outro with Shabuzi winds it down. Know the lawman watching me every time I move, bounty on my head, she's locked into this cowboy life, she is on the run. Alligator tears, clacky instrumentation, and slick vocal layering set the tone for the song. Lyrically, it's about a lover who asks for too much and someone who goes out of their way to match that energy. The hyperbole of moving mountains and changing religions speaks to that devotion. I really dug the second verse, which speaks to how suffocating these demands can be. Somehow she still adores them despite their alligator tears, an allusion to crocodile tears, which are fake tears of grief meant to draw sympathy, much like a crocodile shedding tears moments after consuming its prey. I do like the self-awareness that the narrator of the song has that he might be faking it, but she still tries anyway. Smoke Hour 2 continues the radio theme where Willie Nelson says sometimes you don't know what you like until someone shows it to you before he introduces Just for Fun. Just for Fun with Willie Nelson showcases her iconic lower register. The slower tempo feels like a sharp contrast to the title. It circles back to this theme about resilience and self-healing. Time heals wounds. Hallelujah speaks to the gratitude of the passage of time. The second verse recalls the cowboy imagery and the rodeo lifestyle that really anchors this record. And the outro invokes this higher power with the choir at the end. I do think that this is going to be one of the underrated deep cuts that people will talk about for a while. Two Most Wanted is a stunning duet with Miley Cyrus, which many fans have speculated was going to happen on this record. Lyrically, it's a pretty straightforward ode to a love. The chorus where they trade lines about being shotgun, ride or die, smoking out the window, flying the 405. It really works and it continues that theme. The emotion between their voices, I cannot believe they sat on the song for almost 5 years if rumors are correct. The harmonizing is world class, the way that they sound together is immaculate. Beyonce has chemistry with just about anyone she works with, but Miley's tender raspy voice gives this some real contrast. I really like Miley's naturalistic vocals against Beyonce's more measured and controlled vocal technique. You can hear the two slip into each other's tones at times. I'd love to see a visual for this. It samples Landslide by Fleetwood Mac, I believe. One of the highlights, go listen to it. Levi Jeans with Post Malone is a playful, flirtatious track. I think that it's a really cute track about two people who are enamored with each other so much. The wordplay in this is what makes it a gem. I'll Let You Be My Levi Jeans is a perfect little innuendo. Beyonce's verses highlight her wit. When she says that she's a centerfold, it pops. Come be my Nick at night so we can run it back is a really smart line. Post Malone answers her call in the chorus. I think it works well. He holds his own in his own verse. The outro really hits when he name drops Renaissance, establishing one of the more direct links between this record and the last. Beyonce knows romance. I think her love songs really embody what adoring someone is like. Flamenco pays tribute to the Western genre. I wish it was longer than it was. There is no chorus. Beyonce just waxes poetry with her vocal runs. There's so much soul in her voice, and the melodies are amazing in this. I wish it was longer. A lot of her shorter songs on this record I wish were fleshed out. We got an interlude from Linda Martell, the first ever commercially successful black woman to exist in country music. She even performed at the Grand Ole Opry and serves as a trailblazer to whom B gives flowers to. She introduces the song Yaya. Yaya is one of my favorite tracks. It's an absolute showstopper of a country anthem. It felt a little bluegrass. Sampling These Boots Are Made for Walking by Nancy Sinatra. B-Day Beyonce is absolutely back. This is her showing off her vocal stylings on track. It really reminded me of Tina Turner and James Brown's soulful stylings. The refrain brings an interpolation of Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys. I love the call and response of shouting at the girls and the fellas, even introducing us to the Cowboy Carter Act 2. She pays tribute to her mother, who originally planned to name her Beyonce spelled with an I. Unfortunately, a bunch of racists filling out out the birth certificate spelled it with an O, and she never corrected it. The verses talk about how her family grew up in a very complicated America that has a lot of red history that just cannot be erased. Still, she tells us to keep the faith even if insurance won't pay no Fannie Mae. The chorus is a celebration of movement and action through dancing. She's gonna party from Texas to Gary, Indiana to New York City. Pistol still in her seat in case she has to blast. I think the message of her telling us to keep the faith, to keep on going through the struggle, is really inspiring. Oh Louisiana is the last interlude, a short sped up cover of Chuck Berry's Deep Cut. Then we get Desert Eagle, another short little track, this time continuing the overarching themes about self-empowerment, the feminine mystique, and the imagery of Texas. The outro perfectly sets up Riverdance. Riverdance isn't a particularly lyrically dense or deep song, it's more of a vibe of a track repeating the same sentiments of running through a river or pounding on that shit dance. Yet, the 8 verses tell a very short story, almost like a fable, about a tumultuous love story about 2 lovers who keep on shooting each other down but finding themselves together again. The standout lyric for me was "I plan to steal your heart again on Saturday and Sunday nights." It's very romantic. It's a very fun mix of dance and country that feels experimental yet traditional. Two Hands to Heaven smoothly carries over from that track. I think it's another highlight of mine. B sings about the complications of love and vulnerability. I think the usage of the country setting on this track really elevates and dresses up the conflict of it. Lines like "Lovely daggers kissed my heart many moons ago" or "I'm a stallion, no candle in the wind." She knows how to paint a very vivid image. Verse 2 accelerates the pace. The bridge swirls the track quite literally into a more sensual verse 3 that underscores how far she'll go for her love. She's been through hell and back for this. I've seen many people say this is their favorite track off the record, and I absolutely get that. It all flows to Tyrant, a dynamic track that opens with a quick call from Dolly Parton to light up the juke joint. The song shifts to a trap beat in the middle, giving the song a little bit more momentum, but you still hear a little fiddle in the back between the drum hits. One of my friends who also listened to this record told me that it sounds a little like the violins in Clean Bandit's Rather Be. This is still an unapologetically horny banger. I'd say that this is the partition of this record. It's about how she ride it like a tyrant. The way that she rides on this beat is effortless. The bridge calls back to the hangman who stole her man at the start, how she envies him. This is a really fascinating narrative track. I still don't get it, so someone in the comments explain this to me, please. Sweet Honey Bucking is a 3-parter song that evokes pure honey structure. The first piece, Sweet, is a trappy track with Shabuzi interpolating Patsy Cline's I Fall to Pieces. It's a very stompy song about coming home from the real road to her sweet country home, the rodeo. It shifts over to a Pharrell joint about being sweet as honey, inviting her lover to get stuck in her all night. The final section, Bucking, returns to a brash, thumpy rap track where she name drops being snubbed for AOTY but coming back to fuck up the pen. She knows she's a provocateur as she imitates the flow of a mechanical bull bucking people off. The album closes with Amen, a bookend to American Requiem that sees Cowboy Carter ask for mercy for once. She name-checks America, a house of blood and bone that has crumbled, statues made of lies of stone. She asks if people can finally hear her now. She closes this album on a hopeful note to say a prayer for what has been. She knows that we will purify our father's sins. The old ideas are buried below. Amen. Cowboy Carter's journey to reclaim what was hers is done, and now it's on to the listener to do the same for themselves. The way that it closes with a spaceship ties it back to Renaissance. The alien superstar and Cowboy Carter will return in a brand new form. My closing thoughts: I will probably re-dissect this album again as more visuals come out to contextualize the era. I think it's still one of the most rewarding listenings that I've had since starting this channel. I think it's a rich academic exploration of the West that some may be tempted to say is bloated, but I do think that it's ambitious, grand, and one of the best pop forays into country yet. I have to give it an initial 9.3 out of 10 rating. Go listen to it. And that's a wrap. Thank you so much for tuning into my Cowboy Carter review. I saw that many of you loved my Renaissance video, so I rushed this overnight just for you guys. I want to give a quick shout out to all of my members who support my channel, especially the new one, Wes. Thank you so much. I also want to shout out my subscribers. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. Be sure to hit that notification bell to get my next videos pretty soon. And I just picked up a southern accent right now. I actually do have a southern accent. I just don't use it. I used to have one when I was younger. But anyway, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you next video.